We are here with myself, Patricia, and Bill Gross, and Gustavo Segura from Sendero Home Loans. So everybody say hello.
Hey.
Hello.
So we provide this free educational workshop every week for home buyers that are looking to purchase a home and just get information on what the steps are. So every week we'll bring in a different topic, all related to the home buying process. This is meant to help you succeed in your home ownership goals. So we love to be a part of that journey with you and guide you every step of the way. So today we are starting off with our rates today are at 7.22 for a 30-year fixed mortgage.
Whew.
And so how does that sound, Bill?
Well, see, if my stock went up as much as the interest rates, I'd be rich.
You'd be in good shape, huh?
It'd be good, but unfortunately not. The stocks are not going up, but the interest rates are. And I think one of the things, I'll show the screen real quick and kind of show you what I look at as far as the interest rate. Oops, where are we here? Share screen. Which is on Mortgage News Daily. And you can see the market rate today is 7.25%. And what happens in the news, you're going to hear them report, at the end of the week, they have 6.92 was last week and 6.94. What happens is the news, they contact lenders, they spend a week doing that, and they gather the paperwork and report it. But they're always like a week to 2 weeks behind the actual number. And you can see when they report their numbers is either October 13th or October 19th, which is now, actually that was when they reported it, but it was a survey from over a week ago. But we know the market's gone up to 7.25 today. And so I always tell people, don't get nervous when you hear the news reporting, we crossed 7. We crossed 7 a week or two ago. That's the reality.
Right.
And the other thing I wanted to say is, I was doing a lot of thinking about the market this weekend, why real estate still is relatively solid in our area. Now, there's places where it's not, where there's a lot of home building. In LA, we don't have much home building. And so we don't have a lot of inventory. But the main difference the other difference in the market today than in 2008 and 9 when things crashed and prices actually went down is that in 2008 and 9, it was the housing market that pulled down the whole economy. That's how bad the housing market was.
Right.
And as a result of bad mortgage policy, bad banking, bad investing, the market dropped. Here, the economy is inflated and the economy is maybe facing a slowdown, and that's slowing down, but the value of housing still is going up because people still want to live in houses at the end of the day. And so it's not that the housing market's crashing and taking the economy with it, it's the economy slowing down and pulling down the housing market from expanding more than it might. So it's a different market than 2008, 2009, which is the only time in history when housing prices actually went down nationally. So it seems to me like the housing market's still poised for a modest, slower increase, but still an increase. I think buyers should know they should be comfortable their equity would be protected if they buy something at the right price today.
Yeah, no, I think definitely. And the numbers that I saw last week, I think it was the appreciation here in Orange County was still like 8.1% from last year.
Yeah.
So, people talk about that slowdown, and yeah, it was 25 before, but it went down to more normal levels of 8%, and maybe it goes down to 5, but it's still appreciating.
Right.
It's still going to be much better year over year instead of paying rent, and that money just goes away, thin air, basically. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and investments. If investment, you get a good rate of return. It doesn't matter what the rate is if you get a rate of return at that investment. And so, as a result, investment prices have been affected because the interest rates are higher. But people still can look at a deal and say, well, if it cash flows and I make a good return on my money, then I'll still buy the property. So that's still driving the market.
Right. Definitely. Even though those investment rates, to your point, investors are looking at that as a return that they get cash flow, and it's going to be something that they can sell later on, maybe in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And those rates are not, any better. Those rates are north of 8% because it's an investment property where they require more down payment, and the government has increased those interest rates on investment properties to try to make more room for primary homeowners. So that happened in March of this year, but we still have investors going after them because they know the value of real estate.
Yeah.
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 And talking about what you were mentioning right now about the news, I heard them report that the real estate market is imploding. I mean, to me, when I hear imploding, that's definitely not what's happening right now in the real estate market.
No.
Yeah.
It's just a way to scare buyers and sellers too, because especially at this time of the year, hearing that type of news, it sounds like it's not a good time to sell your home. It sounds like it's not a good time to buy a home. When in reality, it still is. As long as you can afford the payment that you're being presented by your lender, which Gustavo goes over all that information. We're working with a buyer right now that we're trying to get qualified, and it's just a matter of collecting all of the documentation to get prepared for that pre-approval and making sure that you can afford the payment. So it's still a good time to buy, even right now that we're coming into the winter months. You have less competition than you would during the spring market. So this is an excellent time to buy a home and also list your property, because again, you will have that fewer sellers, fewer buyers at this time of the year. So your home will stand out more as opposed to the spring market. You'll have more buyers coming in to look at your property. So I keep telling my clients, this is an excellent time too. If you're thinking about buying or selling, this is a time, to do it.
Well, I think it gets down to their particular case. I happen to do a lot of probate business where there's people who's passed and the people now the house don't want to live there. And I took a listing today on a property in downtown Los Angeles. We had another one in out of state. I can tell you that they were happy with the prices that they could get because the market's improved over time and they have to sell. And it's a good time for them to sell. It's a good time to sell if it's a good time to sell. And I think trying to time the market, you can overthink things too much. And that's what some people are trying to do.
Yeah, definitely. You hear it's like investing, right? It's like once you get into it, once you're in the market, once you got your home, there you have options presented to you, whether it's a refinance, there's equity, or whether you sell that and you move up to your next home. So once you're in the game, you start having options opening up to you, and you start going away from renting. You start seeing the value of home ownership and what it's going to do for you in 5-10 years.
Yeah. I have this client, Bill, I spoke to you about this one. It's a friend of mine. She bought her home back in the late 70s. She bought the home with her friend. Neither one of them had a trust. And the friend has since passed away 20 years ago, and she needs to sell the property. So she's also going to be a buyer because she wants to buy another property. And, this is a time as real estate professionals, whether you're in financing or in sales, this is a time where we have to really dig in deep and help these clients that need our help, because there are people out there that need to sell properties right now.
Yeah. I mean, they have a property, they want to sell it, and whether it went up or down 5% in the last 6 months doesn't make a difference. If somebody passes and you leaves you a $600,000 home, for example, whether it's 600 or 630, it's not that big a deal. It's inheritance you didn't maybe expect or plan on necessarily, but you want to sell and get a good price for it. And as a buyer, I think the same thing I can tell you, that if you're buying a house and you live there for 20 years, I was just talking to my daughter, I forgot, we've been here since 2006, it's 16 years. Everything, doubles, quadruples in 16 years. It doesn't really matter whether we bought the house at 870 or 900, it's going to be worth a lot more 16 years later. That's just how real estate works.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're thinking of holding on to the property, I mean, that's the best thing to do right now. As I mentioned before on this call, I purchased my home, 7 years, almost 8 years ago now, going on 8 years, and it's worth almost double what I bought it for.
Where'd you buy it? Where's the house at?
The 562 of the Beverly Hills, remember?
In Downey. No, the Beverly Hills of the
Beverly Hills of the
562.
562, yes.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, exactly.
So we all see buyers who are having success and excited after they get the house. We also have people we talk to who just aren't really ready to make that decision. What would you say to somebody who's scared? They watch the news a lot. I mean, when you search on YouTube, there's 10 million articles on housing crash.
Mm.
And the crash is still, I mean, I'm still getting paid. We're still closing deals. We're still selling houses. Nothing's gone down in price.
Right.
There's exceptions in Arizona, near where they were building houses, and in Texas. In Florida, they were building a lot and it slowed down. But now, after the hurricane, it wiped out a lot of the houses being built. So now, again, there's no excess inventory, and those housing prices now are jumping up again. So it's funny how life changes. But what would you say to somebody who probably can afford a house, wants to live there to raise a family, or live in the same place for 20 years, wants to live in Downey next to Patricia Castillo, wants to live the big life of Downey, the 562? What would you say to them to help encourage them to make that oomph to get over the hump?
Well, I look at, I talk to them about their situation. If they've been renting for a few years now, that's basically, as Gustavo mentioned, it's money that's just being thrown out the window. At the end of the day, you want to park your money somewhere in an investment where you can start growing your real estate portfolio. And it all starts with your principal residence, with your home that you're going to live in. So it's looking at the financials. If they're going to live there for at least, looking at what the goals are, if they want to stay in a certain area for at least 5 years, maybe 10 years, then it would make sense to buy if you can afford the payment right now. Because as we know, the real estate market is cyclical, and so are the interest rates. They're not going to stay this high forever. One of my clients that I just opened escrow with a couple of weeks ago on a condo in Azusa, they were renting and their lease is actually expiring in January. So this is perfect. We went to go see property. They were interested in a condo. We got a price reduction of about $43,000.
Wow.
So it makes sense. And the only way that you're going to know is if you take that first step to see what you qualify for. And after that, leave the negotiations to me. I will talk with the other agent. And if you're looking at buying a home, this is a time for negotiations. Negotiations are key right now in this market.
She's brutal, let me tell you. Being on the other side of her.
Getting my emails at 10 o'clock at night.
Well, look, you are a strong advocate for your clients. I mean, I think that's the thing. I respect that. I think, we live in different times. Most real estate agents, when you get into, what I call sharp elbows, when you play basketball, there's, you box out, you use your body. I'm a big guy, so I would stick my butt out, to take up a little extra room to block the other guy out. And the sharp elbows means like you hold your arm firm. Someone runs into it's going to hurt. And I think in real estate, there's times to have soft elbows, there's time to have sharp elbows. And I think sometimes, I always want the other agent to be a friend. I always want to get along with them. It makes the negotiations easier. I always send a gift afterwards to the other agent as a thank you for selling my listing. But sometimes during the escrow, you need some, sorry?
I said, all right, what am I getting?
Special. I don't know. I can't get you the regular thing. I need to get you something special. Maybe for years we'll cater a party or something from your client or from the.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of we should talk about that. But anyhow, my point is, I really like you. We get along. But even agents we don't. Sometimes you have to have sharp elbows. I think sometimes real estate agents are, quick to be nasty, and I think also slow to be firm. And I think there's a difference between being firm and nasty. And a lot of times I'll just say no quietly, and then the other agent will vent a little bit and let them go a little bit. But you want to be a strong advocate for your clients, and you want to use the appropriate tool at the appropriate time. And I know you do, Patricia. That's what, because you were in escrow, you closed so many deals on the administrative side of the paperwork and the contracts that it was a natural for you to become a real estate agent to be able to advocate for your clients.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. They're selling their business in downtown LA and opening up this new location. So they do really well with up and coming areas and really gravitating to those markets and the demographics and seeing what the need is in those areas for different types of food and diversifying, choices for dining. And so they're just excited, and I'm excited. Can't wait till we close.
You're doing your client in Venice?
Yes.
Yeah, be exciting. Be a fun one. Okay, what else? What else? What other tips we have, Gustavo? What tips do you have for
Oh,
buyers
I
in
was
today's market?
gonna, yeah, I was gonna add to Patricia about, what is, what do we tell buyers at this moment, right? And what I'm doing is I am showing them a rent versus buy, basically calculation and benefits. I think, it's a lot easier for us to say it, right? It's a great benefit. It's all, it's all what it can be, and we understand it. But somebody that's coming into this new sees the rate, hear the news, and hears the neighbor and all that kind of stuff, and the industry's going bad, and it's just going to implode like this, like Patricia mentioned,
Right.
that it's one of those things that if we see the numbers on paper, then they can look at this a little bit more and understand the potential. So I do a calculation of how much they pay down payment. What does it look like if they stay there for 5 years? How much money is being paid out towards rent, towards the mortgage? What is tax deductible? What can be tax deductible from them? What kind of savings they're going to get? And then what is that return on that property after 5 years, right? A traditional appreciation, whether it's 5%, what does that look like for them in 5 years? And then they can obviously, throughout any one of those points, refinance to lower the rate and the payment. So once I put that down for them on paper and they can take that and they can sleep on that, I think it makes it a lot more feasible for them to understand the decision to go ahead and buy.
Yeah. And on the contrary, if they don't qualify right now, and maybe it's not a good time to buy, because that's not going to be the scenario for everybody, but
Right.
we are transparent, and that's what you need in this market. You need somebody that's going to be transparent with you and set you up for success.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Because on my side, I'll work with them on the credit. Once we know that profile that they have, what it is that they need to work on in order to get a better rate, can we do something for them quickly within 2 to 3 weeks? Can they pay off a couple things, do a rapid rescore in order to get them to qualify for a better rate? Or
Right.
is this a more 3-4 months process where they need to pay down some things and it's going to be a little bit more of a savings, or taking the next step in a couple more months? Then we also do that as well, just so that they don't think that it's over and then they walk away with no action plan. I had somebody just recently do that. They were working on this on their own. I gave them a quick assessment. I gave them a little bit of a quick action plan that they could do. And they felt better, at least that they could, who they're going to call, what are they going to do with their credit, what inquiries they need to challenge and try to get off of their credit report, as opposed to just waiting for the credit report to just slowly go up on their own 5 months later or 6 months later.
One of my good friends in the mortgage industry, one of the legends, the first person to have closed $1 billion, Greg Frost in Albuquerque, New Mexico, used to have a policy. They never said no on a loan. It was, this is your plan to get your mortgage. And the plan might be 2 years, make more money, save more money, pay off debts. But you give people a plan and you can inspire them to move forward. And I would say anybody can get a house in America. You can get a home without a new mortgage and then later refinance it to a conventional mortgage. There's different ways to get as well, subject tos and lease options. So, if you're committed, there's a way to get the property you want. You just have to be committed and do the work. But that doesn't mean you sit around and pray and then magically it happens. You pray, then God says, okay, good, I'll give it to you. Let's get to work. Then you got to get to work. Right? So
then you call us.
There you go.
You call us. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I see Ann Lloyd is on our call, joined us. Ann, welcome to our call. I see you're unmuted. I don't know if you had something you wanted to say or just join and say hi. Yeah. Which is fine. No? Okay. Any last words you want to wrap up here, Patricia? Any last words from?
Yeah, I just want to, of course, thank everybody for, viewing our call today. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to assist you. And if you're not sure about what your status is right now, where you're at in the process, not sure how to get started, whether you're buying or selling, just, give me a call. We can look at your financials and go over it with Gustavo and just look at the big picture and see where you're at and get you started. You can't get started unless you get started. So give me a call and let's see what we can do for you.
And your website, patriciacastillo.exprealty.com. Is that the best place to reach you?
My cell phone. Call me on my cell phone. I'm at 323-365-9909.
And Gustavo.
Yeah, taking a look at the credit profile, pre-approving someone, right? So don't worry about a hard mortgage inquiry. I do what is called a soft pull. I just take a look at one of the credit bureaus. It does not hurt the credit score. And this is something that I can then take a look at and see what we can do for you. And then from there, we establish a plan, or we go ahead and say, yes, we can help you with this. Let's move down to the following requirements, and then let's go through an actual credit pull. But I can at least start a good process with a soft pull that does not affect your credit score at all. So same thing, give me a call. It's best to talk, have your specific questions, and then we can take a look at a path to home ownership. And there's my number, 714-334-4563. Pretty much carry that everywhere.
Very good. Okay, I'm Bill Gross, ESP Realty as well, here in Los Angeles, California. And Patricia and I are colleagues, and Gustavo is part of our team. Really glad to have everybody here today. We stream this live every Wednesday. I haven't been here for a little bit. I was traveling and holidays and all kinds of crazy stuff, but I'll be back at work now. And Patricia and Gustavo as well. We do this every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we live stream it, and it's recorded on YouTube and Facebook. If you have questions and you watch this recording, put your questions there and we'll get to them. We'll do our best. I think in general, we get to all of them. And thank you so much for your support. We appreciate everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you guys. Thank you again. Bye-bye.